What's up guys, it's Taric here, back with another VOD review, and today we're going to VOD review the World Champion Replay. I actually got a chance to meet Replay at Tactician's Crown. Super nice guy, definitely yaps a lot in person, just as much as he yaps during his stream. It's pretty incredible. Also very short of note. But yeah, really cool guy. So let's also, obviously he's the world champion of TFT, so let's review his game on a comp that I'm really interested to see how he plays. I've played this comp a little bit myself, which is, this like Neeko Bastion's Invoker comp, and he gets a Neeko drop, so that's like literally just get a Neeko dropped and you're almost, like pedal to the metal, like we are going to play this comp. It is really strong. He does even get an Alawi pair here, which he could also play around. He's looking at potentially like the Cho'Gath pair as something to play around, like maybe. But yeah, he's got the Neeko, he's got the Melio. I'm actually not sure what. I don't know if he's checked the Ixtal yet, but I guess we'll see whenever he ends up getting it. Items wise here, nothing too crazy for Neeko either. You don't really have much you want to slam here in this spot. Like, yeah, there's actually like nothing great here. Augment-wise here, yeah, I do think you reroll these. There's a Winds of War as a potential option, but he does roll into Magic Wand, which is really solid in this comp. Invokers have a lot of like mana generation, so you want to give them AP. It's kind of like the opposite of Sorks, where like they already have a lot of AP, so you don't really want to give them extra AP. You want to give them more mana gen. Now he's the option between slamming Gunblade here and slamming Morellos, both really solid Neeko items. This comp, it used to be, like, before you were even playing around Neeko, when you were playing more around Taric, it was pretty, like, rod hungry, which is a phrase that I should use sparingly. Like, you really wanted, like, a Gunblade, definitely, and then, like, a JG was another, like, really solid item. Now it's gotten even more rod hungry because Neeko really wants stuff like Morellos, stuff like Crown Guard, even stuff like Death Cap. You could probably use, like, 6 rods in this comp, like Death Cap, Crown Guard, JG, JG Gunblade, and then like a second Gunblade or something on the Neeko potentially, like Neeko Gunblade and Karma Gunblade, because both of those, oh my god, I mean this is the perfect shop that you would want if you're going to play this comp. And also this comp seems really solid in Valar's Hollow because you do, like I was talking about, you want so many rods in this comp. This allows you to get that extra rod that you would want, though sadly he doesn't get it here. So then what are we gonna go for here? Static Shiv is a really solid option. Yeah, I love Static Shiv in this comp because, I mean, one, you need some sort of shred, and Ionic's fine. The thing is, though, Karma is a unit that is oftentimes going to do some sort of, like, splash damage onto backline. He also pre-levels there, of note. He couldn't have made Econ there, so I think a pre-level makes a good amount of sense there. So yeah, you'd really love to pick up a rod here if possible. But yeah, like, Karma's third cast is going to splash hit damage on backline here, so Static Shiv is actually really nice as opposed to Ionic Spark because you want to shred the backline so Karma does more damage. Now that you play more around Neeko, and obviously, like, you play around Neeko and Karma, but, like, Neeko is, like, almost your secondary carry. I mean, not even almost, she definitely is your secondary carry. It's not as important to, like, play around the Static Shiv. Like, I think Ionic's probably fine. The problem with Ionic now is sort of that you would not really want to use a Neeko item slot on Ionic, I would think. I haven't looked at the stats on it exactly, but I would think that, like, Neeko wants, like, damage, AP, and then, like, maybe a tank item. Like, I think this setup looks really nice, and then maybe finish it off with, like, a Titan's Resolve or something like that. You can also just go full damage on Neeko, but I found when I go full damage on Neeko, it gets, like, a little bit scary. Also interesting that he doesn't even want to hold this potential Melio here. That's wild, actually, that he values it. I mean, it is Wind, which is a pretty bad one. The ones that you really would like in this comp, I haven't actually got to play with Wood, but I imagine Wood would be really strong to scale up the Neeko's HP. The Ice one as well to make Neeko last longer seems really solid. Fire seems like pretty meh. Fire seems pretty meh. Wind seems pretty meh because you don't really need the attack speed. You're already casting a lot with Invoker. Electric, I think, actually could be pretty solid. Just like put it on potentially Neeko or put it on Karma. I've tried playing that before. I had a really wild electric game with 4 Ixtal, and then I ended up putting Zaun Rise on the Hex. And look, if that, oh my god, look at these shops, by the way. That's why he's the world champion. All right, well, we're gonna get a good demonstration of what a high roll game looks like for this comp. Interesting item slams here, though. Like, there's actually nothing you really want to make here. You can't make anything. The only, like, item that's even not terrible is Ionic Spark, but like there's no way you're using your rod to make an Ionic Spark once you've already slammed Static Shift, right? Like the repetitiveness is like okay, just to make sure you have maximum uptime on the Shred, but it's definitely not a slam that you would make it like 3-1. Yeah, I think you do sell these, by the way. Golden Ticket seems pretty good here to actually like access everything. Radiant Relics would also be really interesting. I mean, because we have Golden Ticket and we have like 50,000 pairs, like surely we should roll a bit here. Oh my god, he finds the Shen. Wow. Okay. You do want to keep rolling until you hit something here. Yeah, he actually hasn't Giga High Rolled the shops right here. Like, honestly, it's not even High Roll his spot anymore. Like, he actually has to roll down to 10 gold to try to find his fort. That is wild. Okay. So, for all the people who are going to go in the comments and be like, well, this game didn't mean anything, he just High Rolled. Like, he naturaled that Neeko, that Karma, and that Taric, which is really good. But in like 5 or 6 rolls, he saw none of them. So it's actually kind of like balanced out to be almost like an even game here. Yeah, you definitely want to roll until you hit at least one, and now he just should roll for the rest of his rolls. Okay, and really, really fortunate that he hits Taric there. Support itemize, like Gem would be good. Stuff that like makes the fight, stuff that benefits from the fight lasting really long, because this is a pretty like slow comp, though it's a little bit burstier now. It's not Cleaver, yeah, it's just Gem. Wow, it puts the Gem on the Taric. That's pretty bold. I would probably just slam it on like Soraka. Because I'm afraid that the Taric would just die. Though he's lasting really, really long in these fights. I don't know. I'm actually really curious to go explore into this comp and then see what it says, like who should hold Gem. I guess what's the best way to do this? Like needlessly large Gem. Oh yeah, you have to put in a unit first. Damn. I don't know. Let me. Or Bastion. I don't know. I'll look at it after. But I'm actually really curious about Gem in this comp, because I'm sure it's really solid, but like if you put in Karma, yeah, I can't find the stats on it right now. I'll have to look at it later. But yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, we can also just like, for all the stat haters out there, we can also just like use our mind and watch this. Also really, really interesting. Wait, I think I completely skipped over something here because I was trying to look at the stats. He sold his Karma, right? He sold his Karma here to make income. Yeah, he sells Karma there. He's not interested in going for the Karma 3 version. He's just going to play for the Soraka 3 version, which makes sense, right? He has 6 Sorakas. And he also... Did he have to take this bow? I mean, his options were bow or sword. So he opted to go for bow here. Sword could be Gunblade on Soraka. He opts for just Ashers on Soraka. I think this makes sense. Gunblade, not the best item on Soraka because... her spell already heals. You're not healing off the healing. You know, you just want her to do as much damage and cast as much as possible. The only downside to, you know, this type of setup on Soraka is that I feel like you don't really want attack speed items on invokers that much. I just think they're a bit suboptimal because you're already getting all this mana from invokers, so you don't really need attack speed at all. Like if you're, this comp's actually not terrible into something like an Eternal Winter because you're still gonna get the mana, right, even without the attack speed to generate it. So yeah, a bit, I don't know. I mean, I think it definitely makes sense to make use of sort of like bad items there, like the belt. I mean, in that spot with only sword and bow, like he could have taken a sword, but there's nothing he really wants to make from sword. He's already made one Gunblade, and he doesn't want to make Gunblade Soraka, which makes sense. Maybe if he had itemized Karma, you could make it just a second Gunblade here, but that's like still a bit much to go double Gunblade. Like it's a lot of healing, but not a lot of actual damage. I mean, so far, I think I can eat my words on the ascending Taric. Looks like he is just absolutely living every single fight. He is in the middle of the front line, so it's actually like very easy for him to survive. I assume we're going to slow roll at 6 here to look for Soraka 3 because we're 2 off. You know, like if we were a bit further off, I would think about potentially going 7 here, but like we're so close. I think he's actually scouting around to see how many Sorakas are out of the pool. Wow, yeah, he's even going to start rolling here. Before, oh my god, he gets a duplicator, so now he just needs the 1. He also just has the, yeah, like, I actually love this. Like, don't use your duplicator here at all, right? You definitely want to just roll and get the maximum usage out of it. You would ideally like to hit Soraka here. And oh my god, that's a lot of Tarics. He does skip a Karma, so, but I mean, I think that's intentional. He's holding onto the Cassidans, which I think makes sense. He does get a Crown Guard, which is really, really nice. And then it's just going to be Gargoyle as well. Yeah, love these item slams. Crown Guard, like I was talking about earlier, one of Neeko's best items, which, you know, makes a lot of sense. It gives her tank stats and it gives her AP. Like, those are the 2 things that Neeko wants, because she's a tanky AP carry. I mean, it's definitely not scoped. It's definitely not this. Stilicorn seems fine. I recall looking at the stats and I thought it looked, like, pretty decent. I mean, I don't think it's Martyr, right, with Gunblade already. Also, this is a comp where, like, I don't know, like a few of your units. Yeah, he is going to go for Martyr. Interesting. I don't know. I'm not that hyped around Martyr here. But I guess we'll see how it performs. He probably looked at the stats. I mean, 4 Bastion, 4 Invoker, and then go to Augments and look at Martyr. 4.03 versus Stellacorns. It does say it's better than Stellacorns stats-wise. So I guess it is just a solid augment. And okay, actually, I can kind of see it after this fight. Because Neeko's tanky, but she's like also not the tankiest in the world. Like she is a tank, but there will be fights where sometimes she just kind of gets like burst down. And so by using this, you can sort of allow Neeko to always survive into like the middle of the fight. It also makes it so Taric can survive for a while. And so like while your sort of like bad Bastion units that we have here die, your Neeko can just survive really long. So actually, I kind of like it in hindsight. Over Stellacorns, especially once we're carrying this like Soraka, who's just going to be casting infinitely though. I don't know, I'm still not 100% sure. I feel like Stellacorns, especially in this setup when we're playing more on Soraka, is really, really nice. But I could certainly see the Martyr after watching it actually, you know, go in a fight. You want GS here, I think, ideally, on Soraka. You could, like I said, like I talked about earlier, go for the Gunblade. He's gonna go for Tier. Or just Shojin? Is that Shojin, really? And he's just gonna go for super, super caster Soraka? Wait, this is really, really cool if that's what he's going for. Push 7 here, finally. Get 6 Bastion in. I wonder if he's just gonna play 6 Bastion, by the way. I always want to lean towards the 4-4 version of the comp, the 4 Bastion, 4 Invoker version. But he hasn't actually been holding on to a lot of them, so maybe he's just gonna play around 6 Bastion. Interesting. I wonder if this is how Reroll always plays it. And this is it's a pretty interesting Soraka 3 build. I don't actually completely dislike it. Just a maximum uptime on cast. Like I was talking about before, like Soraka, you don't really care about... Like, I was thinking like GS. I mean, she is doing a lot of damage. But you don't actually care so much about something like a GS on Soraka, just because like you're not GSing on the healing part of the ability. You're only getting like half value on the GS, right? It's only on the damage. Same thing, you know, like with the Gunblade, like I was talking about earlier. But for something like Shojin, something like Nashor's, like anytime she casts, you're, you know, always getting that full value of her spell. So it's kind of an interesting idea just to go for full caster Soraka. I'm interested to see how it goes. It's also like, because we have the needlessly large gem, if we just stall, we're always going to win a fight. Like if we just make it to the gem proc, we're going to win most fights. And so that's another idea, I think, with this setup, is that like you just want Soraka to stall as long as possible. It's Silco too here, but how do you don't play this, right? I don't think it's actually very good. Yeah, he just rolls past it. I actually had a game earlier today where I was offered like a very similar spot where I was just offered Silco 2 while playing this comp. Well, these items are kind of trash. You really want to just like a last Taric item here. But you aren't offered that. I mean, I guess it could be Titans. Titans is like the only potential Taric item. There's everything. He doesn't have to keep rolling because he has the duplicator, right? Ooh, doesn't even get that though. What are we gonna go for here? These options are so bad, right? What would you guys take in this situation? Like making the best of a bad situation is something that's kind of important in TFT. I mean, you just put like you just itemize for like Rise, I guess. But like, where do you even put it? You like make like a GS or a, let's see, where Freljord Rise, you just want like casting ability, a Hodge. You just make like a Nashor's and put it on Poppy for now? It seems so bad. Okay, he makes the Nashor's and just straight up puts it on Taric. I'm not the biggest fan of this. I think actually, like in our VOD review yesterday, this reminds me of the VOD review yesterday actually, when we were watching me first or eighth play, and they were in a sort of similar spot where they were offered like a pretty mediocre item on one of their carries, but they opted to not make the mediocre item on their carry because they were healthy enough and strong enough that they knew they'd be able to get to like more optimal items on their carries. I think this is a spot where like, you know, Replay, he's hit everything 3-star. His board should be pretty solid. Like, he shouldn't take any like really bad losses this stage unless he fights someone like insanely strong, and he's 54 HP. Like, in fact, he's winning a lot of these fights, and I can't imagine this fight is a Nashor's Tooth difference, right? So, like, I think Replay is actually in a spot here where he can greed the item. I don't know, this Replay guy pops into my chat sometimes. I don't know if he watches my YouTube videos, but I'd love to hear his take on the Nashor's Slam there. Because, like, yeah, I would definitely be more interested in just, like, making Nashor's on a crummy unit, eventually moving that to, like, potentially a Rise later, or I guess we're just play 6 Bastion and add like a Felios in here. So maybe like you don't even play Rise anymore, but then you could just put the Nash's Tooth on a Felios, wouldn't be terrible. And like, you know, greed for item off carousel, because we're 40 HP here when we go into carousel. But now we're looking for, instead of like getting a really good Taric item, we're gonna have to take an item for like a Felios here. Like there's a redemption here that would go crazy. Even the Sunfire, right? We don't have healing reduction, so the Sunfire would be nice. How, like we can't really take any of that stuff happily though. Oh no, we have the Morellos, right? So it would just have ended up being like a Warmog's Taric. But even that Warmog's, isn't that like much better than this random Nashers? I guess the idea is that you could still itemize Shen. But I feel like the items on Taric are a lot more valuable than the items on Shen. I'm not sure though. I don't know. It's a really interesting spot. And something that, I don't know, like this is why it's so hard to know when to greed versus when not to greed, because this is a spot where like I'm trying to be more greedy in my games after like learning a bit, but now I see a spot where a replay decides to like be not greedy at all, and I think he actually could be, but like maybe he thinks you can't. Like this is what makes TFT so interesting. Oh my god, by the way, that Neeko, holy fuck. Also, I don't know, he didn't sell the Xayah there because he's looking to pivot into, I'm not really sure. Not sure why he, he's holding the Xayahs for the Xayah 3 guy, that's what it was, right? Yeah, I know I'm on like infinite time speed, so I'm not really paying that close attention. Wait, did that person hit Xayah 3? No way. Oh, is he really? Wow, this is really diligent. Is this the Xayah player? They have 4 Xayahs and he's holding Xayahs from them? That's a bit much, isn't it? But they do have the golden ticket, so like I could actually, like, unless there's someone else who's, but if there's someone else who's looking for Xayah 3, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be possible because that person's holding 4. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you necessarily have to hold these Xayahs, but it's, I guess he's either, I don't know, it might just be replay trolling and just saying I'm gonna grief this guy. It's kind of what it looks like. You're pretty low here, so you probably have to roll down here. Okay, Aphelios 2 is the only real upgrade that you can find in this spot. I mean, I guess it's Gargoyle Shen, but I don't know, I'd kind of like a Gwynsu for Aphelios. I don't think Gunblade on Aphelios does anything here. I kind of hate this. It's Aphelios 2 with no Gunner in? I don't know. Let's see how much damage Aphelios does in this fight. Maybe I'm proven wrong here, though his board just kind of gets pulled over. 2k? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was Gargoyle Shen. He was actually really close to Shen 3. I mean, not... Oh, now he's really close. There's a Rise, but he can't fit it in. This is such an... Okay, and now he's going to pivot back into this version of the board, actually. So he's not playing the 4 Invoker version. He's just going to play the Rise. Oh, he skipped a Shen. Well, that's rough. But yeah, he's actually going to pivot out of 6 Bastion. Interesting way to play this comp, because I usually go the 4-4 version. He just went the 6-2 version, and then like right at the end tried pivoting back into 3-2. It's a third from replay, but I think this is a really cool game showing off this comp. Also shows an interesting way you can play it. Like you definitely should probably some games play the 6 Bastion version of the comp, which like I almost never play. I'm always just like tunnel visioned on 4-4, but you should definitely play flexibly because that's what TFT is all about. And a third, solid placement versus some very strong boards. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my Twitch, and all my links down below. Thank you.